Welcome back, my friends, to the Mail Right Real Estate Agent Podcast Show. This is episode 111, and I am very excited today to welcome our guest, Gabrielle Hughes, to the show. Gabrielle works for a company called Prosperworks, which basically created a CRM, and I know everyone inserts a different word for C, but I call it a client relationship manager. And the unique thing about this product, from what I know from the website, is it's designed like Google. So it basically has Chrome extensions for Gmail, Google Sheets add-ons, and I believe also G Suite integration and a whole lot more. So I want to welcome you to the show, Gabrielle, and why don't you say hi and introduce yourself a little bit to our listeners.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. Hi, everyone. My name is Gabrielle Hughes. I'm content marketing manager here at Prosperworks. I've been with the team for just over a year now. We're a relatively new company based out of the Bay Area. And as Thomas mentioned, we do customer or client relationship management software. So we're right up there with Salesforce, but we offer a seamless Google integration. And
Nice.
we do everything from automating data entry to just making the whole CRM experience way more easier for our customers.
All right, and I'm going to get into some questions with you in just a minute, but I want to give Jonathan a chance to say hi. Over to you, Jonathan.
Oh, hi there, folks. Been looking forward to this interview, Gabrielle. She's quite brave to come on and deal with us too. But I'm the founder and CEO of MailRight. We're a software company that provides a marketing suite aimed at real estate agents and brokers, and we help you with Facebook. Back to Thomas.
And I'm Thomas J. Nelson. I'm a residential realtor and small business owner here in San Diego, California, where I'm never too busy for your referrals. And you can find me on social media, as well as my website, thomasjnelsonrealtor.com. And before I was a San Diegan, I was up in San Mateo. So I know the Bay Area quite well. Gabrielle, where's your company based in the Bay Area?
We're here in San Francisco.
In San Francisco.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. I spent many years working in San Francisco as a delivery man. I don't miss it from the double parking. So let's talk about this CRM. First of all, one of my main questions was, as I'm reading it, it seems like a powerful tool for teams, but would the sole proprietor find this just as useful, or is this focused on teams?
Absolutely. I mean, we have a lot of one-seaters and just a lot of real estate agents that use this, and they take it on themselves. And it's affordable. It's an easy option for them to adapt if they're well versed in G Suite and Google. It's a great solution for someone who's doing things on their own. And I think one of the main drawing points to it is the ability to work right out of Gmail. We have this Chrome extension, so you can access your CRM straight out of Gmail. Makes life so easy.
Well, and as a Gmail user and pretty much everything Google, I was really keen to talk to you about this. Now, I want to take a step back, though, because we're probably making an assumption here that everyone knows what a CRM is. So why don't you explain just the basics? Like, why would somebody need a CRM for their business? What is this going to do for them?
Yeah, well, we're finding the CRM helps a lot of small business owners just clean up their life and their Rolodex. I mean, if they don't already have a system in place, they're probably using spreadsheets or Post-it notes or whatever it may be to keep track of all of their clients and all of the interactions they've had with them. And, Prosperworks offers an affordable solution to kind of up-level what you're doing from an organization standpoint. Or you can be coming from the world where you're using these really expensive CRM platforms and you're just not getting much out of them because they're hard to use. They don't automate data entry. They're just making your life even harder than it should be. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's just organizing all the interactions you're having with customers, with prospects, any sort of communications that's going on.
Okay. Well, and that was one of the things that caught my attention. Can you explain it a little more? Because the whole idea of no manual data entry, I mean, that jumped off the page at me. So talk about that. How is it not a manual task anymore?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're working through our Chrome extension, it's really unique that Prosperworks, once you download it, it scrapes data from your inbox. So let's say you get an email from John Smith, who works at, I don't know, X company, and you simply just hover your mouse over the person's name, and that person's name and information populates into Prosperworks. So it pulls data from social media, from whatever news is out there around them, And then you can enter that automatically just by clicking a button. It's a 1-2 step process. There's no entering in like what their job title is or how long they've been at the company or social media profiles. Like it's all just done automatically.
So, and then in that same line of thought, then would you be able to say extract from certain emails information you want, but not everything? Like if you want select pieces of the email for tracking a conversation, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can also tailor the person's information with specific notes, or if you had a phone call with them, you can log a call. It's all just done automatically. You just have to approve and not approve what you want in
there. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. I think my computer's going nuts here. So the other question I had is the automated tasks. What tasks are considered automated in beyond what we've already discussed? Like what else is it going to do for you automatically?
Yeah, I mean, it can automatically set up reminders to email a client. It can set up calendar events, send automated notes to follow up with someone. It just kind of varies by what's going on in your life and how you want to interact with so-and-so. And yeah, there's a lot of capabilities with automated actions. Most of it, though, is just to keep you on top of your game.
Gotcha. Okay, and then the one of the other features I liked about it, but I would like you to kind of expand on is the whole idea of the pipeline reports and the lead sales dashboards, because I think having your numbers and your stats in front of you is a great motivator to not only stay on track, but to achieve your goals. So can you talk about how those work?
Sure. So, I mean, I feel like a lot of people use pipelines and they customize them to whether they're in sales or not. And, you know, it's an easy way to lay out what an opportunity looks like in as many steps as you need to see. So, I mean, let's say you're a real estate agent and you want to have a custom pipeline. We have these drag and drop cards and you can edit them. So let's say the first step is like house search and then offer accepted and then inspection period and then negotiations and then closing. Like you can just lay out all these different steps within the pipeline. So it's just all very visual. And it provides visibility for the rest of your team to see where you're at with a certain deal.
Okay.
And then alongside that, we also offer lead tracking. So you can track where the lead came from. If it came from an external website, if it came from somebody or referral, whatever it may be, you can mark those within the opportunity.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of exciting to me is having the pipeline, especially, I mean, which is essentially breaking down all the repeated steps of, in my world as a realtor, the transaction, for example, where we are with the buyer, where we are with the seller, pre-escrow, and then all the different steps of escrow. Because then, you know, in my world, I have 2 or 3 people interacting very intimately with my file. So instead of having to have 5 conversations about where we are, they can just all go in and see what the last task I performed was, so that they don't repeat it or assume I did it and it's not done. Would that be accurate?
Absolutely. I mean, I find when I'm talking to customers, a lot of them save time just like not having to go back and forth with email or phone calls or whatever to see what's going on within a certain deal. You're kind of you're empowered to go into the platform itself and just look and see what's happening. Then you don't have to ask 20,000 questions. It's all right in front of you.
So, and then the other thing I liked was the take action section that it talks about. Especially, I'm big on goal setting, but I like the leaderboard idea too. And if I see that, the way I'm seeing it is you can put up there, if you have a team, who's where with their sales, and kind of get a little competition going, if you will.
I mean, we have that internally with our sales team. You can see where everyone's at any time of the day, and you know who the top dogs are, and people that are kind of falling behind. You can just give them, I don't know, just be like, hey, what's happening? You know.
Well, you know, it's funny because I think that competitiveness is a positive thing for the most part. We used to do it with a giant whiteboard in my old office, and so you could see who the top dogs were, who was producing, who had the most listings, who had the most sales, who had the most combined total sales for the year. And you know, whether you're competitive or not, it does kind of fire you up, because you're like, oh wow, you know, so and so's already at 26 deals and I've got 4. I better get off my butt.
Exactly. I feel like that's what fuels sales teams, just that competition. You got to be better than the guy next to you.
Absolutely. Well, because I think part of it too is it motivates you because a lot of the folks that are going to be using this product, well, at least from my world, are realtors, and it can be a very lonely job sometimes because you're really out on your own most of the time, and there are days where if you don't feel like working as hard, there's nobody there really to push you. So having something like this set up is kind of cool because if you're checking in with it throughout the day, and you do have a team, which that is, of course, in the last few years a big trend in real estate, is a top producer taking on other agents to go out and duplicate their sales without having to increase the amount of time they're spending in the field.
Yeah.
This would be a great tool. And is this all cloud based, by the way?
Everything is cloud-based. So as soon as you buy or start your free trial, you can access Prosperworks. You don't have to download anything. It's all, and the whole thing walks you through the process of just like getting set up. So super easy to use.
So, and then let's talk about that. Let's go to the practical matter. So if somebody wants to try it out, there is a free trial.
Yep. There's a 14-day free trial. And we check in as soon as you sign up for that, just to make sure things are going well. And someone will be assigned to you to help you if you have any questions. But for the most part, we find the majority of our customers get up and running on their own. It's just that easy.
Wow. Okay. But I mean, if somebody's a little apprehensive, that you've got people there that can walk them through the setup of it.
Yeah, every step of the way.
Okay.
Especially if you're new to the Google interface. We say that if you can use Gmail, you can use Prosperworks, but if you're not using Gmail, like you might not know what's going on. So yeah, we have a whole team of skilled experts that can help you.
And then once it comes off the trial and somebody's sold on it, let's just start with if it's a sole proprietor, one person using it, what's their entry level cost to get started?
One person's $19 per month for a basic plan.
Wow.
And it goes upwards from there.
That's reasonable. So, and then as you add people, are there like price breaks for a certain amount of people, or is it just $19 per person as you add people?
For the basic plan, it's $19 per person. Those plans, when you add more features on, then your pricing does increase. We offer a basic plan, we offer a business plan, and we offer a professional plan. And one of them, the latter, comes with the Accelerator Suite, which offers, like we were talking about, goals and leaderboards and all of those cool reporting features and much more data visualizations around how your team's performing. So for like a one person though, like I would recommend just basic $19 a month. Okay.
And then as far as, well, let me ask you this. Am I correct in that John and Kelly are the founders of this company?
Yep.
And they come from Yahoo and eBay backgrounds, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So obviously they've got some huge tech on their resume, but how are you guys getting the word out? Like what are you doing to make people aware of this? Besides, I mean, obviously you're coming on podcasts, but like if I wasn't interviewing today, how would I have discovered you?
I mean, we rank well with search. Word of mouth has been one of our best friends. Just people that enjoy using us like to just talk about it, and other people catch on that way. We are featured quite often in the Chrome Web Store, just because it's an easy Chrome extension add-on CRM. And then in San Francisco, we have taxi toppers driving around the city. Recommended CRM. So that's gotten us quite a bit of business too. But for the most part, it's been word of mouth. People just like using us, and they like talking about us, and they share their stories on social media, and then we catch on to those, and then we share them. It's awesome.
You know, what I love hearing is, as high tech as this thing is, you're using some of the latest technology, yet the number one way you're getting it around is still good old fashioned word of mouth and referrals.
Yeah.
It just goes to show there's still relationships involved even in high tech.
Absolutely. And if you've got a good product, then people are going to talk about it. So
Absolutely. Well, you know, I do not profess to be a tech guy. That's why I have Jonathan. And I'm really curious, did you have to go to Google and work with them to get permission to do this? Or like, how do you partner or create something that integrates well with Google without having Google's lawyers all over you? Like, how does that work?
our team did have a really solid, thorough. We have a very good relationship with the Google team, and we built Prosperworks using Google Material Design. So, yeah, there was a lot of hurdles involved, but also what we offer is something that aligns with their brand, and so it was just a no-brainer.
So they kind of, I mean, you go to them. I'm going to oversimplify this, but you go to Google and say, we're creating this product. They vet you out. They get on board, and then you launch the product, and you're able to integrate their branding with yours because it marries so well together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to intervene slightly. It's just that Google have a public API system, Thomas. Some of it is totally open. Some of it has to be invite only. They vet the company. The public API is quite extensive, Thomas, but there are deeper elements which Google will vet the company. And if they like what they see, they will open those elements of the API to the company.
Awesome. Well, I see. I had no clue about any of this, so this is why I love doing this podcast, because I learned so much from our guests, and it brings out information from Jonathan that I wouldn't think to ask otherwise.
And at crucial moments they change the API without telling their user base, so you have to scramble. You get all the engineers in a bit of a tiff, don't you, Gabrielle? It's not the greatest day, is it?
Yeah. I mean, they do what they have to do. So,
Gabrielle, I wanted to ask you, because I currently use a CRM, and one of the things I like about it is it has its own app, and I can use it from my phone. Does this one have an app as well?
We do have an app, and it's great for anyone that's on the go. I think around a good chunk of our users are pretty dependent on the mobile app itself.
I would imagine.
Super easy to use. You can do all of the auto logging of like calls, the emails you send straight from the mobile app. So yeah, it offers just as many capabilities as the desktop.
So you brought up your users, and that's something I'm curious about right now. I mean, and I'm not looking for hard numbers, but just off the top of your head, what would you guess your user your membership, if you will, is made up of? Like, what kind of businesses are using you right now?
We do have quite a few real estate professionals, which is interesting.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of one-seater agents on their own just need something to organize their client base. But real estate's one of our top verticals, along with financial services, high tech, obviously, because we're based in the Bay Area. And yeah, it can be used across the board from a lot of different people. With hospitality, anyone.
So it can integrate and customize to the needs. Like, for example, if a doctor's office wanted to use it, they could make it conform to their medical needs versus a real estate office that wants to make it conform to their transaction needs.
Absolutely, it's a very customizable platform. So yeah, anyone that's just looking for a tool to get organized, you can do it to your liking.
That's incredible. So the other question I had is, what's your reach right now? Is this a North American clientele right now, or are you international?
We are international. We only have one office right now, but we're looking to expand internationally. And also, yeah, I think 40% of our customers are based elsewhere. So that's a good chunk.
So and it converts then language wise and all that. It'll, like, if I'm in France, my app can all be in French.
I believe we're working on language settings. I don't know how far along we've gotten with that, but it's definitely easy to use if you're based anywhere.
Okay, I got a feeling I asked a goofy question because I saw Jonathan laughing at me. So what did I say, Jonathan?
It's just the amount of work that the list is getting longer for the engineers. There's only, even for a company the size of Gabrielle's company, I'm sure it's extremely well funded, but there's only so many days in a week and many hours in a day, and porting the whole website and the support and everything into foreign language is quite a large task for whatever size company you were dealing with. So good luck. Good luck. I'm sure they do it though. So yeah, that's why I was smiling, Thomas.
Okay. Well, actually, while we're at this crossroads of questions, should we take our commercial break?
Yes, that's a good idea, folks. We're going to go for our break. I think it's been a great conversation learning about Prosperworks. I think it's got a fantastic interface. And Gabrielle's been a champ coming on and explaining the product to us. And we're going to go for our breaks, folks, and we'll be back and we'll be asking a few more questions of Gabrielle. Be back in a minute, folks. We're coming back. Thomas is back as well, thank God, so he can ask most of the questions. I can just smile in the background. Gabrielle Hughes has been a fantastic guest. We've been talking about Prosperworks, which seems a really fascinating product. So I've got a quick question for Gabrielle. You know, obviously, I think it was the founders, you chose this. You know, obviously, integrating with Google is a great sales point of the product, really, because basically you're using their technology. People have already got used to using Google Suite. So you haven't got that such a hurdle of learning a CRM, isn't it? Because no matter how well designed the CRM, it's a learning curve, isn't it, Gabrielle?
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like out of all the options that are out there right now, we have little to no learning curve. We made it so that it would be an intuitive system. So the first time you log in, you just know.
Yeah. So, but when it came to the actual app, I imagine you got an app for iPhone and Android. Is that correct?
Yes.
Was a lot more, I would imagine a lot more work had to go into the UX design and the key functionality of the apps. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I actually tried the app and got good news. I was really impressed with the app. I could tell a lot of resources and time have been spent on it. I'm an iPhone user, folks. I would be, wouldn't I? So apart from this integration, are there any kind of key points that you think are really cool about the product yourself that you'd like to highlight, Gabrielle?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just am going to reiterate on what I said earlier, but the fact that, I mean, people hate CRMs because they don't like entering data. That's just a given fact. It takes up way too much time. Like even a day, just updating your contact base, like with whatever details. And I think the fact that Prosperworks just eliminates that completely and allows you to pick and choose what you want in your CRM, and it showcases it in a visually like stunning platform. I think it's just a really cool feature to have, and just having that extra time in your day, you can spend more time selling, you can spend more time on the phone, you can spend more time on the field, whatever it may be, you're saving time, and you're happier, which is huge.
Yeah, I think that's really well put. So are there any new features that you would like to mention that are coming up in the near future?
We do have a few new features on the horizon. I am going to wait and let those be revealed at the appropriate time.
Oh, you're not going to tell us any secrets, Gabrielle.
I don't know
You got to bring more game than that, Jonathan.
There's stuff coming out, especially in the next month or two. And like I said, we have a full suite of features already, and I can't wait to see how this product evolves. And our relationship evolves too, because it's just like as they bring on new features, like we try and adapt those. So,
yeah. What would you say been some of the biggest hurdles since you've been working for the company, getting the message out? Do you think it's is it just getting the people just to try the product is the biggest hurdle, or what are some of the major hurdles that you think you've faced since you've been involved with the company?
I feel like for us, especially on the marketing front, like just being up against Salesforce, just a massive giant in this $40 billion industry of CRM, and they dominate it, and they're everywhere, especially here in San Francisco. They are literally physically everywhere.
Yeah.
But you know what? Our product stands on its own, and our users, you can ask them. It's just like a much more enjoyable experience, and we make CRM enjoyable. So we do have quite a unique competitive advantage.
Yeah, go on, Thomas.
Well, I was just going to jump on that because, you know, I blog on Active Rain every day, which is the biggest real estate website in North America for blogging, and we have a Q&A section, and CRMs and databases come up a lot. And two things strike me as amazing in 2017: that there are a ton of realtors out there that don't even use a CRM. And I'm just blown away by that. But when a newer agent says, "Well, what CRMs are you using?" Those of you that use it, and everyone chimes in, Salesforce comes up. But you'd be surprised the smattering of products out there that some I've never even heard of. So there's a lot of smaller companies out there that are definitely grabbing the attention, at least of realtors. And so I think in some ways people shy away from Salesforce just because it almost feels like a monopoly or like an AT&T, where you're really not going to find a customized service from them. It is what it is with Salesforce. So
if you are looking for that customized experience from them, you're going to end up spending an arm and a leg just to receive that. And it's also
yeah.
I totally agree with Gabrielle. I think for the right size company, it's an ideal product. That's why it's developed.
Yeah.
To the company it is, but for the real estate agent or the small team brokerage, I really don't think it's a suitable system. And one of the reasons why I brought Gabrielle on and let her talk about the product, folks, is there are a number of CRMs aimed specifically at the real estate industry, and obviously it's a very competitive field. But one of the great strengths of Prosperworks is that it's so integrated with the Google suite of tools. And apart from those that are really... Oh, that's another question that came to mind. Obviously you're very integrated with Google, but what about Microsoft? Is there any plans to integrate with them as well?
I mean, that's an ongoing conversation because we do find ourselves like running into a lot of Outlook users who want to use our CRM, and there are ways to go around that. But right now we're just focused on our relationship with Google and making sure it's the best it can be.
Yeah, I can understand that.
What is the integration for social media with the CRM?
I mean, for us, we scrape the internet for information around a certain individual, and usually their social profiles come up, so then we can populate that within Prosperworks and have that associated with the client. But right now, that's the extent of integrations. Otherwise, you can use third-party vendors to integrate with other sorts of platforms and make that happen. We work a lot with Zapier and other smaller integration softwares.
So let me flip the question then. From a marketing standpoint, if I wanted to do an email campaign and a social media campaign, can this CRM help me do that?
Absolutely. I feel like you could just set it up so that you have your list of people you want to target in it, whether it be a list of influencers, and you can set up automated tasks so that you can reach out to them and have them post on social on your behalf or whatever it may be. And that's what I've done in the past with the system.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Thomas, and I think it's one of the great strengths of this because, obviously MailRight's involved with email marketing, but with Prosperworks, you can target very small groups. I call it micro emailing, where you could you could use something like MailRight or another product for your large lists, but you could micro email something very instantaneously, like a 20-person list, and get all that set up in Prosperworks, Thomas. That's why I think it's one of the attractions maybe for real estate agents to look at it, Thomas.
it's a great tool for account-based marketing, like where you can just get all the information you need about one person and tailor your outreach to their liking. So if you're working on these bigger accounts as well, like, and it's just one person you're trying to get the attention of, you can know everything about them before you even pick up the phone. And,
Yeah. That's huge because, two of the questions that come up repeatedly in the real estate industry from new agents, but from agents also that have been in the business 20 years trying to upgrade their services is, I know I should be calling my database more often, but I have no idea what to talk to them about when I call them. Or I know I should be writing personal notes to people, but I have no idea what to write. And, what I always advise people is go on their social media, go into your CRM and look at what you've accumulated knowledge-wise. I mean, you should be knowing a lot about them personally. What, when did they go on their last vacation? Did they just get a promotion? Did they just buy a puppy? Anything that they post about is good fodder for a conversation starter by giving them a quick call or writing them a personal note. And that's what I love about a CRM is you can collect all that information because obviously you don't want to hit them with all that. I mean, you take one little thing, but it gives you enough material to work with over the course of a year where you can call, email, text, personal note, and you've got plenty of topics accumulated in your CRM from their social media, their LinkedIn, and whatever you collect just from asking them questions.
Definitely. And you can also, if there's something that's not out there on the internet, you can make note of it based on your interactions with them and have it stored and look back on that note.
So yeah, I agree with that. That's the huge part about a CRM is you collect all the conversations you've had. It's also helpful when you're in a transaction because there's a lot of selective memory in an escrow. And it's like, well, I appreciate that you remember it that way, but here's what you actually said, and which is why we're doing it this way, because people get overwhelmed and then their memory goes to what is selective instead of what actually happens sometimes. So not that I go lawyer on them, but it sometimes helps get people back on track with when they start questioning why did we ask for that, or why didn't we ask for that, or why are we doing it this way?
Yeah, I was going to ask Gabrielle, obviously I'm involved in software myself. Is it an ongoing conversation in the office? Because obviously you want to provide functionality to your user base. You want to become delightful to your users. But if as you add more and more functionality, or if you're tempted to do that, obviously you end up with increasing complexion, don't you? Something that gets more and more complicated. So is that ongoing conversation? What is the true functionality of the product, and what are the things that you shouldn't get involved in?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I think we have definitely prioritized just maintaining CRM that's simple to use. We don't, at this point, at this stage in the game, we don't want to go above and beyond that and complicate things. I mean, that's what Salesforce is for. Sorry. No, I feel like for the time being, we just want to perfect what we're doing and make sure all of our customers are happy along the way. We're definitely going to keep adding features to keep it exciting, but those features have to be aligned with our end goal, which is having a CRM that's both simple and enjoyable.
I should probably mention that Salesforce is the giant, but I have no personal interaction with them, good or bad. So I'm not picking on them other than they're just, the same way you'd pick on Walmart, I guess.
Well, no, I don't actually think it is picking, actually, Thomas, because I think for a sales team of 10 with a sales manager and a team of 10 to 20, it might be worthwhile starting to investigate it. But it's an enormous investment, not only in fees, but learning. You've got to become totally dedicated to the Salesforce methodology and way of doing things.
Yep.
And most CRMs are like that. It's an enormous investment to learn how to use it effectively, and that's why I think it's one of the attractions of Prosperworks.
I agree.
Is that you don't. There are, I don't want to rain on the party, but I was thinking back. I actually think Prosperworks interface is better, but I actually had Kim Chambers, the Director of Product Marketing from Full Contact, and about a year ago on the show, and their product has similarities to Prosperworks, slightly different focus in some ways. So, but especially when it came to the app, I think the Prosperworks team have done a fantastic job with their app. And I actually think you've made using Google apps easier actually with your app, because the native apps are sometimes slightly confusing, aren't they? We don't want to be too nasty to Google, do we? You're not going to say anything about it, are you?
Well, that's because I bet you one day Google's going to snap this thing up.
Let's hope not, because then it will disappear forever.
What does happen like that? I mean, that's obviously a possibility. So if Google decides, hey, we want this, I mean, does that create a major change in how this functions, or do you guys still operate as a company under Google's umbrella?
I mean, at this point, we're just focused on maintaining the partnership that we have with them, and it's a great one. And we're so grateful that we're a part of their ecosystem.
Yeah.
And I think, just like I said before, we're just on that track to keep our customers happy and make a tool that is easy for them to use.
Fair enough.
I think we're coming to the end of the show, Gabrielle. So, Gabrielle, is there anything that you would like to point out before we wrap the show up to our listeners about Prosperworks?
I mean, I feel like we give a pretty good overview, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to info@prosperworks.com, and we will pick those up and answer those right away. And we also do have a free trial. It's available on the website, prosperworks.com, if you are interested in trying it out for yourself.
Well, Gabrielle Hughes, we want to thank you very much for joining us this morning. And Prosperworks is the company, folks. We'll have all the contact information up on the show notes. Want to remind you to download our show, leave comments on our show. You can find us on iTunes or wherever you download your podcasts. And, of course, we're on YouTube with the video version of this every week. So, Gabrielle, thank you so much again for your time and putting up with us this morning. Jonathan, you want to give a shout out before we go?
Yeah, I just want to say, Gabrielle, it's been a joy having you on the show. I think some of our guests we've had recently have been fascinating, and the value we're offering the show, I personally think is amazing. Do look at Prosperworks, folks. It's a really taste thing as well when it comes to CRMs. You know, some things you just don't gel with, and somebody else can really love it. But I like to say one of the strengths is if you're used to using Google's tools, that Prosperworks is going to be an enormous difference. And to go to the MailRite site, folks, there'll be also a full set of show notes about our interview and the video as well. So we'll probably see you next week. Back to Thomas.
All right, and I'm Thomas J. Nelson. I appreciate you being here with us today. I am a residential realtor here in San Diego, California, where I'm never too busy for your referrals. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, other social media, and my website is thomasjnelsonrealtor.com. I'm here as your realtor or your resource. And until next week, we bid you a great rest of your week, and thanks for joining us on the MailRite Real Estate Agent Podcast Show. Bye-bye.
Bye.